So hello everyone, I'm now joined with vegan Pixie Warrior, and we decided to talk about effective vegan activism. First of all, who are you, where are you from, and why did you go vegan?
So my name's Rebecca. I am from Bristol in the UK. I'm AKA the Vegan Pixie Warrior. I went vegan for the animals, for ethics. My husband made me watch a film called Food Choices back in 2017 in February, and we flipped meat free Monday on the head. So we just had meat one day a week rather than throughout the week, and the rest of the week we ate plant based and we cut out dairy. And then in August, I watched Cowspiracy, Vegucated, and What the Health in one day. And no, I just went, I was having a poorly day. I wasn't feeling very well. So I was just like, put Netflix on. And it was Vegucated, actually. I think it was a combination of all three, but it was Vegucated that really got me. There was a scene where they showed a calf being taken from their mother. And I was like, that's it. I can't. And my husband came home from his parents and I said, I'm done. I'm going vegan. And he went, okay, I'll do it with you. And that was it.
How
That
was it?
was, yeah, like I think August 29th, 2017, something like that. It was the bank holiday weekend. So, yeah.
Yeah, sounds like a very common way of going vegan, like in like the New Year's. Is this awesome documentaries and such that are like um on like all these platforms. I haven't yet seen Seaspiracy because I don't have Netflix. But I
Oh,
mean, but
I've seen
yeah,
Seaspiracy.
I need to watch that. I watched that that earlier skit that was also called Seaspiracy from like back in the days, but I'm not sure if like this it's the same filmmakers or whatever.
Cowspiracy. Yeah, it's the
No,
same
not Cowspiracy.
filmmakers.
The old like Seaspiracy short film.
Oh, yes, it is the same guy. I haven't seen
Right.
the short film. I think he took it down from it was on his YouTube channel for a while, I think. I haven't seen that one. I've just seen the new one.
Yeah. I haven't seen it, and somebody else wanted me to come on to talk about specific oceanic topics and such, but because of Seaspiracy, and like, okay, should I watch it or can I just go by what I know already? It's just
You should watch it. I feel like I need to watch it again because there was a lot of information in there, and I'm of the age where information doesn't sink in like it used to anymore. Sorry, I've got a visitor of a cat. Sorry, Lord Vader, you have to go.
yeah, yeah. I've heard a lot of people saying that. Oh, well, now I'm in this age, then it didn't stick. It doesn't stick very well. Very interesting thing, if you don't mind. When I read up like studies and such, you actually need to have like blood clots in your head for that to be true, actually, which is quite interesting.
Yeah,
But it's a nice excuse, I know.
yeah, it's a nice excuse. And I think a lot of the time you don't need to know the facts. The fact is the animals are being hurt and they're feeling pain. That's the only fact you need to know is that they do feel pain and they're suffering.
Yeah, it's also something that I've thought of a lot when I talk to people, because I'm trying to tell people that, oh, but animals are actually being hurt and killed, and then they go, oh, but what of this side issue that has nothing to do about ethics? So it's quite weird that people like always go to these lengths to talk about other issues that could be surrounding it.
Mm.
Do you? I'm not sure if this is a thing in the UK, but in Norway there has been this huge argument that has been going on from like people who oppose veganism, and it's basically the cultural landscape argument. Have you heard of it?
Um, Go over that with me. What's the cultural landscape
Do
argument?
you know what a cultural landscape is? First of all.
No, go on, tell me.
Okay, yeah, it's basically a cultivated land. Technically, it means anything that has to do with like human intervention, but it's commonly understood as being open grasslands, basically grounds that has been like cultivated for food or for like even for lumber as for that,
Yeah,
and
I suppose we've got a lot of that in the UK because a lot of the land in Wales and in the north they have for sheep for grazing, and they're like, you can't grow anything on there because the sheep we need them to take the land. But we've had, the UK. I only found this out since I've been vegan, but it used to be covered in forest.
Yeah.
So it used to be covered in woodland, and obviously we're not anymore.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, interesting. I mean, we can talk a little bit about that afterwards. First of all, the argument is basically that so many species has surfaced because of a cultural landscape, and many of these species has now been threatened, and thus they believe that if we stop consuming meat, then we don't have like sheep and cows who are grazing on these lands. Thus, these other species will go extinct, and so that's something we don't want because we want biodiversity. That is the argument.
But the counter argument to that is that we have lost so many species of plants and animals because of animal agriculture.
Exactly.
Like I just said, the UK used to be covered in forests, and there's a massive incentive in the UK at the moment to farmers that if they rewild their hedgerows and along the edges of their field, they get, more money from the government for doing that and stuff, and because it creates wildlife habitats. And I've rewilded my back garden, so my back garden's got like a neat circle in the middle of it, but all around the edge is just rewild grass because a huge amount of land is manicured lawns now, and we're losing so much. So yeah, that's a easily debunked argument against veganism.
Well, it is easy to debunk, especially if somebody brought up that argument in the UK, for example. If you talk to people here, you don't have to walk far to see huge amount of forested land. So it's a sort of like a very weird idea. But I ask people, have you even flown an airplane over Western Europe? How much woods do you see? I kind of like asked them that argument. Asked them that question, and usually what that transcends to is basically them bringing up the but Norway can't grow these and that in how was it, like Norway could like only produce efficiently seeds and potatoes and such in like 1%, and then less efficiently in like 3%. And they kind of use that as an argument to basically kill animals.
But the next one for that is vertical farming. Like, vertical farming is amazing.
Yeah.
And permaculture as well.
Yeah, it's weird. That's kind of... What would you say is the most common argument that you hear in the UK?
Well, I've been doing street activism for about 2.5 years now. Actually coming up to 3 years in September. But I would say the most common argument I hear is, I don't like vegan food.
Really? Is that almost common?
Like, you don't like broccoli, you don't like bananas, you don't like potatoes and rice and pasta and all of these other amazing foods. That was probably the most common. And then nutrients. We can't get the nutrients that we need from plants. I had someone arguing with me about B12. And I said, do you know where B12 comes from? And they were like, the animals. I went, no. Do you know the original source of B12? And I told him, and he was like, no. I said, look it up. Go and do some research on where B12 comes from. And it comes from soil. And we've basically... excuse this word, this is going to be a trigger word. We've raped the land so much. There is no B12 left in the soil and the water systems anymore because we've polluted it so much, and chlorine and pesticides, and so then it has to be injected. So you're taking B12 that's a supplement to the animal that you're eating when you could just take the supplement straight away or have some Marmite.
No, that's a Marmite, yeah. Marmite is hideous.
Nutritional yeast then instead.
Yeah. No, it's just weird. I've tried Marmite and it looked good, and then I tasted it and it's like, this tastes like straight up yeast. It's like...
I love it. I love Marmite. My husband has it really, really thick on his toast. It's disgusting. I like it thin. So I like a thin spread of Marmite with some peanut butter on top. That's the best.
The strange thing, I can't handle Marmite, but I eat natto. If you're familiar with that,
Okay. You eat what, sorry?
natto.
I
It's
don't know what that is.
it's a Japanese recipe. Well, not a recipe. It's something Japanese people has eaten for a long time. It's basically fermented soybeans.
Oh, okay.
Okay, it's
Okay.
if you think you are somewhere around how it is around tempeh, it's like that's not even close. It's like the thing is it tastes fine, but try to not breathe through your nose while eating it because it will be like smelling mold.
I think my husband would like that because he used to like blue cheese before we were vegan and really
Yeah.
stinky, moldy cheese, and I never liked it. But he loves fermented. Anything fermented or pickled, my husband goes nuts over. He loves it.
Oh god, yeah.
I think.
Yeah, but it's far off from like pickled food. It's not even it's not in the realms of like what you can say sour. It's more like just molded. Doesn't
Yeah,
sound very
I think
appetizing, but
no, I think I'll stay away.
yeah.
I don't even like kombucha. I'm like, oh no.
Oh, kombucha I think is actually tastes really great personally, but it depends on the brand. I've tasted horrible kombucha in the past. I'm not sure. Have you tried many different brands of kombucha before?
I've tried a few because my husband, he finds it hilarious because I make a cider face. He calls it my cider face. I don't like cider. I'm like, that's my face. And he always makes me taste a sip of it. And I'm sure he does it just so I go.
Yeah,
But yeah, I've tasted a few different brands.
yeah. There's one type that's called like Captain something. The interesting thing when I looked at that is that some people has commented on it, and I just can't unnotice it when I drink that one. They say it's like drinking soap, and it's like it. They're kind of right. You shouldn't have mentioned that.
But I like root beer. And that just tastes like mouthwash, but I love root beer. My husband hates it, but I just drink root beer. When I was a kid, I lived in the States and I used to drink buckets of it. Like, I
Root
loved it
beer
so much.
is that sort of like ginger ale?
No, it does literally taste like mouthwash.
Oh, really?
Um, where would you describe
Wait
root
a
beer?
second. I need to log out of Facebook. I forgot that. It's probably a good idea to do. Maybe remove some of the messages that I've sent to people. Okay, log out. It's like now that I'm not using FaceTime, I have an opportunity why can't I re-enter the Zoom? Maybe I need to click on. Oh, there. Okay, I think I'm fine. I'm just gonna readjust for the OBS. Okay. Okay, go on. Yeah. What were you saying before I interrupted?
Yeah, root beer. No, so I don't know how to describe it, but I like root beer. I love
Oh
it.
yeah. Yeah. Is it non-alcoholic?
It's non-alcoholic. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe I'll try it later. I'm not sure if I have it here at all. No.
I don't know.
No. So when you talk about effective activism, in what realms of like activism do you think it's like on like on the top, if not like the top, or like the realms of like really good activism?
I I don't think that anything is on top. In all honesty, I think all activism is effective
Yeah.
because they might, it might be someone sees a sticker. In fact, I interviewed someone the other day and she went vegan because of a sticker that she saw on a lamppost. Went home, did some research, watched Joey Carbstrong, watched a few other speeches, and went vegan. So it was the sticker that took her there.
Yeah.
So I truly 100% believe that all forms of activism are effective. There's a saying that you need 100 points to go vegan.
Yeah.
So it could be that point one is they've seen the sticker. Point two is they've seen someone wearing a hoodie thing.
Yeah.
It could be anything. For me, my most comfortable form of activism is street outreach. I love talking to the public. I love talking to strangers. And I never used to, but I do now. I suffer with anxiety, so it was such a big thing for me to try and conquer and get over and go out and do street activism. But that's what I love the most. Like, there's nothing like showing someone footage and they can't get away from it. They can see it there on the screens in front of them, and there's no denying what's happening in front of them.
Yeah.
They can say that it's, it's a conspiracy and it's vegans. I heard the other day it's vegans that have gone in. They've put the animals in this position, and the vegans have killed the animals, and the vegans have beaten the animals up just so they can get footage to put out there and make films like Dominion and Earthlings and all these other films. Like, really, I know people that filmed footage that was used in Land of Hope and Glory, and there's no way that any of these vegans would go in there and purposely harm the animals.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that for me, if you were going to pick the most effective, I think showing footage. But then one person might need something else to get them to go vegan.
Yeah.
They might not need the visual. They might just need to read a book.
Yeah. Are you on Facebook, by the way, right now?
I am on Facebook.
Oh yeah, yes. Because I turned off mine, and then still I hear this blinging noise.
No, I'm not on Facebook.
Oh.
1 minute.
Okay, I'll try to see.
Or maybe let me just try it again. It might be my Discord. I've turned Discord off.
Yeah, it's strange because I heard like the plinging noise from Facebook. It's like it's reacting as if I'm on Facebook.
It might. I can't hear any pinging at my end, but it might have been Discord, so I've turned that off.
Okay. That was annoying.
Sorry.
No, it might be on my part. Maybe something got through like after I logged out or something. Like who knows. Anyways, yeah. This is the thing about like these like planting seeds or these points and such to like turn people vegan is it sort of has become like a very what can I say, like automated in like vegan activism. And I've seen somebody not criticizing the thing about planting seeds, but criticizing that many activists aren't doing more than just planting seeds. Do you know where this is going?
Yeah, I think direct action is what people are talking about. We need more direct action, and direct action is great. I'd love to do direct action. I can't, for reasons I can't discuss on here, but I'm unable to do direct action. But I think that people like Tash Peterson and DXE, I think they're brilliant and what they do, and Meet the Victims. It's fantastic. It's getting it out there, and that's something I would love to do. But the thing is, there might be somebody that, I mean, well, how did you go vegan? What started you off being vegan?
Me personally?
Yeah.
Very, very long story. Like I've always kind of questioned how we treat animals. I grew up with farming and hunting, but I was convinced that it was necessary for right nutrition. But I've learned later that it wasn't true. But what really kicked me off in that direction is still plinging in. I don't know why this is. Okay, I'll just ignore it. I'll just ignore it. What was I? Yeah, what really kicked me in the direction, because I didn't go vegan straight away, but have you heard about the massacre that happened on the Utøya Island in Norway in 2011?
Yeah, I think I do remember hearing something about that.
Yeah. After that, 3 people I knew died. And the feeling was the exact same as when they sent my grandfather and grandmother's goats to slaughter. The feeling was the same. And there and then I just realized what the massacre was. That was basically what was my first push towards veganism.
Yeah.
Also, I've been very against whaling for a very long time, like prior to going any like steps to like a plant-based diet or whatever. And I remember Paul Watson. You know who Paul Watson is? Yeah. He said that you can't call yourself an environmentalist unless you're at least vegetarian and certainly vegan. And and those two things just clicked in my head, and I slowly started removing more and more meat from my diet. I had like periods where I just didn't buy meat. Sometimes when somebody made sausages, I ate the sausages, and then I went like back and forth like that. And then I decided I'm gonna take April off. I started April 2nd, and just take the rest of the month vegetarian, and the month never stopped. So I just kept on as a vegetarian for 2 years and a half. But I saw Gary Yourofsky's speech. That was one thing. I saw Cowspiracy, so I thought, okay, I can do even more for the environment as well. But then I saw a video from Vegan Gains where he said, what did he say again? Let me see if I can remember. He just removed the video, so I can't like recheck. But he said something like, "If you know what we're doing to the animals, it's wrong. What are you waiting for? Come over to the dark side." It's like after that, I was like so convinced right there and then. It's like, what am I doing? Because I was just waiting for there to be more options in the stores and whatever. So I took the last carton of eggs I had in my fridge. Went into my mum's house, put the carton inside of her fridge, and then I went back into my own apartment, and that was it. that was the end of it, and I haven't looked back ever before. So when like the transition to becoming a vegetarian was very long for me, going vegan was like there and then.
See, and that's the thing, like, you know, I went from meat eater to vegan. I wasn't planning on going vegan. In fact, a month before I was vegan, I was at a barbecue festival in the city centre, eating ribs and eating chicken wings and all of the things that you associate barbecue festivals with. And that was a month before. Now, if you'd have told me that weekend, in 1 month's time, you're going to be vegan, I would have laughed in your face. There's no way, there's no way you could have told me that was going to happen. And if it wasn't for Marissa making Vegucated, then I don't think I would have done it. And I wish I'd watched that film years ago. But the fact that you had that connection in 2011 with that horrible massacre, I do remember exactly what you're talking about now, that happened. And then you made that connection with the goats. That's a certain amount of points. That was probably like 50 or 60 points right there. And then, so yeah, we can do more, but we can't force people. And it's what's going to work for one person isn't going to work for somebody else. Like if I'd have seen a cube, how would I have reacted? I don't know. I don't know how I would have reacted if I would have gone vegan on the spot there and then. But for me, I mean, it started off because with the food choices, my husband was like, "Oh my God, we need to cut out meat. It's really unhealthy for us." For me, it was more environment because I was in my 20s, a proper hippie. I used to walk around town with no shoes and socks on, and I had long hair and walk around in flared jeans, and I was like Peter Man. I'd go to like parties in Dartmoor, and I thought of myself as being highly environmentalist. Like I've always recycled. I've always been really careful about reusing things and trying not to buy new unless I actually really have to. So even before all of this XR and stuff over the last couple of years, that's how I've always been for the 24 years. But it was, like I said, it was seeing that calf. But, my husband didn't need anything to make him go vegan. I just said, I'm going vegan. He went, okay, I'll do it with you. So I didn't have to show him any footage of what happened to the animals.
Oh, wow.
He was just like, I haven't missed meat, so why not? Let's just go all in. We're most of the way there because we're only having meat 1 day a week. And then, vegetarians, I find vegetarians the hardest ones to go to get to go vegan, but that's just my experience of street outreach. But I know what they're saying, that, vegan activists need to do more. What actually needs to happen to get this to happen quicker and get the vegan movement growing stronger is we need more vegans being active. That's the problem.
So
how many? Go on, sorry.
Okay, if it was important, then okay. Anyways, the thing is that many. I've been to this. I'm not sure if you've talked to Siobhan before.
No, I don't think I have.
No, she did that activism on the road thing where she had like different lectures and such, and teaching people to become activists and such. And she was like, I'm not sure if it was her, but it might be. She was bringing up all these points about, well, I think it was her. I'm not sure. About what was needed for the black people in United States to get equal rights, and which length they had to go, and very few people were actually activists. I don't remember the percentage, but I've seen throughout history other like social rights movements. You don't need too many people, but you need enough people being active.
Yeah.
So,
and I think at the moment we don't have enough people going active. I mean, I've spoken to about it. I've spoken to friends about it over the last couple of years, and I ran a group in Bristol with Anonymous for the Voiceless for 2 years. I'm not with them anymore, but we had over 600 members on that page, and we probably had 10 regular faces that would turn up for events out of over 600 people that were just a member on the page. And the percentage of vegans across the whole world is probably what, 1% of vegan, 1% of the population of vegan, do you think?
I don't know anymore. It might be above actually at this point. China is actually having a massive increase after COVID-19 hit.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think COVID has had an effect. But out of that, say, let's be generous. Let's say like there's in Tel Aviv like 5% of the population are vegan. But let's be a bit less generous than that. Let's say 2-3% of the population across the world are vegan.
Yeah.
Right. How many of them are actually active?
Yeah, that's very
2%.
few.
It's very few. It's probably about 1 or 2% of that 1% population are active. So it's an even smaller amount. Like if every vegan gets one person to go vegan a year, and then that new vegan gets someone the next year, you just see it multiply and grow. And you don't need to go out on the streets and talk to people if that's not your thing. You don't need to break into farms and save a pig and film what's going on in the slaughterhouse. You don't need to do that. You can do anything. You can do leafleting. You can wear a T-shirt. You can sticker. You can put a post on Facebook. You can do anything. There's so many different ways to be active. It's ridiculous. So we just need more of us, I think. I think we'd achieve it a lot quicker if there were more of us.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of things to unpack there. There's many things I can talk about. One thing that I also want to talk about, it's not necessarily like an argument against what you said, but it's also like when it comes to like moral responsibility. Because I've talked to many like very philosophical vegans about this, and it is not. And I agree. I wouldn't say that it is a vegan is should be permitted to be an activist. It is more like veganism isn't a moral good. It's more like a moral neutral.
Yes.
It's like choosing to be vegan is like choosing not to stab somebody or go out of your way to actually cause harm.
It's a non-action, right? It's a non-action. Like you choose not to be someone who murders other human beings.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
You're not doing anything about it. You're just not murdering other human beings. You're not racist. Like I'm not racist.
Yeah.
It doesn't take anything to not be, to be a non-racist or anti-racist. You just are. It's a moral obligation. That's what you're saying, right? Veganism is a moral obligation. It's just a baseline. Yeah. A good friend of mine, Paul, who he's amazing. He's 83 and he's just fantastic. He says that being vegan is a non-action.
Yeah.
It's what we should all be doing.
Yeah, it's so strange because when you talk about that and trying to explain this to carnists, it's very weird because their way of looking at it is like, I will respect that you don't eat animals as far as you respect that I eat animals. It's a let's go back in time and let's say you were in the midst of slavery and it's would you accept if somebody who had slaves said that he would respect your choice not to own slaves as far as you respected his choice to own slaves?
Yeah.
It's of course they go down the route, oh, you can't compare, but no, it was an analogy. But again, it's not the same thing as not respecting the people, although you don't respect their actions.
Yeah.
It's something that I find to be very interesting.
Yeah, definitely. I attended a workshop a couple of years ago, and they showed a photo of a little girl, and she was chewing on a pork rib, on a pig rib. And they were like, "Is she a bad person?" We were like, "No, she's a little girl. She's a child." And they were like, "Flash forward 20 years. She's in her mid-20s, and she's still eating animals. Is she a bad person?" Well, no, she's still not a bad person if she hasn't, doesn't know about it. It depends, to me, if you know about it and you see it and you've seen the footage, like I've got family that have seen the footage, but they still continue to consume animals. To me, that makes them a bad person because they know what's going on. They know it's wrong, but they're still doing it. But I think even then, they're not inherently bad. It's you've been indoctrinated to, this is what we're meant to do. Our parents have told us that. Our grandparents have told us that. Media tell us it. The doctors tell us it. Even GPs don't have any training on nutrition, and they tell you that you need to eat animals to be well.
Yeah, I talked to somebody today and yesterday. Well, not talked to. We argued on Facebook. There was this farmers news online newspaper. I'd say. They're on. They're just as active on Facebook as they are on the newspaper. So they share every single article there. And this one person said that he doesn't like talking to vegans because he just finds them all to be militant. And first of all, I was like, defining militant, and have you actually met vegans who promote war, who promote violence? Because I've met hundreds of vegans, and I've met two vegans in my entire life who actually promotes violence. So then I tried to put him forward, and he said, no, I just find them to sound militant in the way that he came with the example of a woman coming up to him and just said he was a murderer and how he's bad to the environment and such. And I just wrote back and I said, well, per definition, I'd say that what she said wouldn't be factually wrong, though it's not the way that I would do, because I realize that most people just don't know what is going on in these industries. He ended up not replying to that, so.
No, agreed. And it's like sometimes, and I'm going to go and it's I hate this, but I'm going to pick two of the main activists that you think about when you think about vegan activists. You think about Earth and Ed, who's the softly approach, and then you think about Joey Armstrong, who's in your face. And the different approaches will work for different people, but you can't base your whole idea of vegans based on one woman coming up to you and shouting murder in your face.
Exactly.
I had someone comment or message me yesterday, I think it was. It might have been the day before. So, can you do me a favor? Can you come onto this web page? We're getting attacked and stuff, and we don't know what to say. And I was like, I went on and had a look, and I went back to her and I said, number one, the mistake you're making is rather than it was one of them was a farmer, so you're not going to get anywhere with the farmer. I said the best thing you do with a farmer is ask them questions.
Yeah.
So if you think this doesn't happen, what does happen? Tell me what happens to your calves on your farm. Because they were a beef farm, a dairy farmer. I said, so I would ask them questions like that, and then they're going to trip themselves up. That's the best way you can do it, I think.
This is my background, by the way.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you did say your grandparents had goats.
Yeah.
So, ask them what happens on their farm. It's like, well, if vegans are making stuff up, then please tell me the truth. That's what I said I would do, because otherwise you can get into these cycles online, and I've done it before, and I find it really struggles. I struggle with my mental health because of it. I come off and I feel drained, and I feel angry, and I'm wound up, and I feel upset, and I feel like there's no point anymore, because you get into the circle. They're saying one thing, you're saying another thing, back and back. It's just fighting, and it's a debate, and it never works.
Yeah.
So what I find works better is, rather than doing that, ask them a question
Yeah.
and let them answer it.
I've taken a very different approach, and many people criticize me for it. But I see like a long-term effect from people watching or following the discussion on the page. It is basically go down the route of moral philosophy. Are you familiar with, like, for example, like the name the trait argument?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Yeah, so I've so many times asked farmers to name the trait. They go absolute nuts, and they don't know what they're doing, so they turn to like total red herrings. They create straw man arguments. Many people come back to me and say, "Oh, but they actually don't understand what you're talking about." I think they are well aware what I'm talking about, actually.
I think they know exactly what you're talking about. And that's the thing I'm saying, asking questions. You're asking that farmer a question. Give me the trait that makes it okay to do this to a pig or a cow or a chicken or, a fish. And that's exactly the right thing to do, is asking questions. People believe what they say, not what they're told.
Yeah. So it's very interesting because some people that I talk to, they talk about animals as if they are mere machines, almost. I debated a youth politician. It's on my channel and everything. It went on for a little bit over 40 minutes. I realized very early on that there was no need to continue much, because he had contradicted himself so many times throughout those very few minutes. And he also denies that animals have intrinsic value, which is against Norwegian law even. So just I know, and
I
so
put my head in my hands, but I used to be this person. That's what's so annoying.
oh really? Yeah. So yeah, it's interesting, because most of these people who just deny animals' intrinsic value, they talk about animals as if no, they're just mere machines. Yet they promote for animal welfare. Makes absolutely no sense. Like, some of them try to make some arguments that, oh, it will make the meat taste bad. So, and I've also been like asking argument. Well, what if I like the what's the hormone called again? Not adrenaline. Oh, if you are ill to an animal, something will trigger in the body and make the meat taste less good. It's cortisone.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So what if I like the taste of cortisone? Is it fine for me to to torture animals then? It's like, oh, but that's ridiculous, they say. It's like it's a straight up hypothetical. It's weird because most people who don't want to deal with the philosophical arguments and answer hypotheticals, they usually, I wonder if they can watch Star Wars and actually cheer on one side of the war at all, or if they can at least appreciate Star Wars, because it's fiction, it's not the real world. It's just bizarre to me.
It is bizarre. And then they won't answer hypotheticals, but then they throw hypotheticals at us, like, your house is on fire. Who are you going to save, the cat or the baby? Or you're on a desert island with a pig. Are you going to eat them? Like, they throw hypotheticals all the time. Like, what's going to happen to all the animals in the world if everyone goes vegan overnight? It's like, well, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I think that
I love it. But...
Yeah, I think that these like House on Fire and the I didn't used to, but like also this Desert Island argument. I used to like, oh well, whenever would that happen? But after a while, after I've like done a little bit more into philosophy, I think there are great questions actually really great questions. Yeah, but what I find to be even more great is that when they ask hypotheticals like this, you can turn it back at them, so you can answer, well, yeah, I'm sure that some people, I wouldn't know, but I wouldn't say that as someone is a bad person for killing an animal in like a survival situation. Exactly. However, now in this modern day and age, we don't have to. So why are you contributing to the suffering, death, and exploitation of animals?
Exactly. And that's another tip I would come back to as well. When you are doing outreach with someone, whether it's online or on the street or with a family member, when they give you the argument, we have always done this and everybody does that. And just take it back to them and like, what about, I'm not talking about everyone else, I'm talking about you. You know, or people can't do it because of health issues. Well, I'm not talking about other people, I'm talking about you, and bring it back to them and put them in that situation. That's really helpful as well, I think. And really important to do.
I agree. So there was another thing about that type of like logical arguments that I also wanted to think that I was also thinking about, but I sort of forgot it.
Oh, sorry.
No, it had something to do with logic, but it's passed my head. Frustrating.
Maybe it'll come back.
Maybe, but right now it's sort of gone.
You need some what's it, omega-3s. That's what you need.
Yeah.
Not through fish.
Yeah, I would need fish. Yeah, it's very weird that people say that. Oh, you have some cognitive decline. Just have some salmon and eggs, and then that will just cure everything. Because I've heard all these anecdotes of people stop being vegan. It's like
I wonder if Miley Cyrus has watched Seaspiracy yet.
I don't know. Like, I'm so weird because she was like on Joe Rogan's podcast, and she was like talking about her head injury from like back in the days, or her marijuana abuse and such prior to being 25 years old and such. And no, but it was definitely the vegan diet. It was the vegetables that made her brain go.
It wasn't the bang to the head or all the illegal drugs that she's done over the years. And the copious amount of cannabis that she smokes. It was none of those things. No,
it must be the vegetables, you know.
She just needed to eat her fish. That was
Oh, it was just such a surreal thing. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me see. There's more to be said about like the other types of activism than just planting seeds, because you talked about the direct action.
Yes.
Can you think of more types of activism than just those two things?
Then direct action and street activism?
Yeah, but I'm talking about, because that is mostly like planting seeds and such. Because we've been very successful in planting seeds for a very long time. But that's just population. And there's a YouTube, I don't remember his name, but he made an entire video that we need to take down the other pillars as well, not only the population, but you got the industries, you got the distributors, you got like all these other branches of people that you could affect as well, that should get way more attention, because if you're just hacking onto one pillar, well, that's not enough to get the entire roof to fall.
No, I mean, recently there was in Canada, there's a shop there, a massive shop. They've stopped selling fur because of the protests that have been happening outside of there. Yep. So it was damaging to their business. So yes, definitely things like that, and lobbying government. You know, these are things that we can do. I think that lobbying is not my forte. Yeah. I've got friends that are absolutely brilliant at it, and Animal Rebellion are fantastic in what they do. Like if you want to get into lobbying, contact Animal Rebellion. They will not turn you down as an activist. And you don't even have to be vegan to be part of Animal Rebellion. You can just be, you can be a non-vegan. But what they're doing is fantastic. And I think, lobbying governments is good. We can get change that way. Yeah. Things are happening with regards to you can't have live animals at circuses anymore. That's coming in. So that's from lobbying government. Fox hunting, which is still happening in the UK, although apparently it's not happening. But that was made illegal from lobbying government. I know they get away with it, and the police are on side, and members of our parliament do take part in it. But the badger cull as well. Yeah, they're now planning to immunise the badgers instead of killing them, like giving them immunisation so that they don't spread TB, which will be way better. Obviously, that's going to take a while to happen. And they have kind of put it as, it's going to happen by this time. So they've still got time to go out and do badger baiting and kill badgers, unfortunately. But things are happening.
Yeah, it's very interesting because there's many type of activism that has worked, and I'm not sure if Icelandic whaling was illegalized, but they have stopped whaling. So I don't know, like, what was the reason behind stopping the whaling. I'm not sure if it was illegalized, but they've just stopped whaling, which is
That's
great.
good.
Yeah. Same thing is something that's going on in Norway now is that mink farmers or like fur farmers in general. I don't remember if they got like 15 years to stop doing fur farming, so they can continue till like one specific date to like make a new type of business, that sort of thing.
I think 15 years is a long
Oh
time.
yeah, it
So,
is. I don't remember if it was 15, but it was a very long time that they had
yeah.
to like transcend. This is also something that I also wanted to talk to you about. So, you're British. Do you specifically live in England? Yeah.
Yes.
You live in Bristol. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it safe to say that you're a Langophone isolate?
That my what? Sorry.
Oh, a Langophone isolate. If you don't know what that means.
No. What does that mean?
Okay. Do you speak any other language than English?
I wish I did. No, I speak a
Okay.
very small amount of French and a very small amount of Spanish, and that's about it.
Okay, yeah, then you will be classified as a Langophone isolate. Because this is a huge issue that I've seen, and I don't know how to deal with this issue. But I know. I watched the 2020 vegan film.
Yep.
Yeah. A thing that frustrates me so much is that the Norwegian Vegan Society got the same status as it got the status of as a philosophical community in the same in like the same realms of the Humanist Society. That just went past that entire film. That should have been mentioned so hard, but I think the problem is language. I think that language and such creates like huge barriers because there are so many good activism happening all over the world that people don't know about because people speak different languages, so that people don't know.
Agreed.
Is there something that like I feel like there's something missing? There's a reason
I
why all of my videos are in English. You
think
know.
there's a massive problem in the UK where we don't actually learn a second language until we start secondary school.
Yeah.
So when we're 11, and it's too old in my opinion. We should be learning language earlier. Like when I lived in America, we had Spanish lessons, and my sister had Spanish lessons, and she was only 6,
Yeah.
and I was having Spanish lessons. I'd never even learned a new language before, and no disrespect to my parents, but I think they were both Welsh, and my dad spoke Welsh, and I think it would have been really helpful if he'd have taught us Welsh when we were growing up, to have that as another language. My aunt and her 2 kids, they watched a series of videos when they were little called Muzzy, where they watched one in French and one in English from the age of 2 up. Your children are sponges. But yeah, you're right. Like, yes, English is one of the most common languages spoken in the world, but it does make things difficult. And I think as British people, we're lazy. We're so used to we're lazy. I'm lazy. I've tried. Like I spent 3 or 4 months traveling around Spain, and I can understand more than I can say, but this was years ago, so a lot of it's probably gone now.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I'm ashamed that I don't know any language. I am.
It's very strange for me because I personally have taught myself so many languages over the past, and especially when I meet like English speaking people, it's like you've never had any input of another language. It's just it's not like it's bizarre to me. Like I understand it, but yet I feel like there are some like legislations that should be changed. Because I remember that French and Latin used to be mandatory in English way back in the days, and English people actually spoke French back in the days.
Yeah, I mean it is mandatory that you learn language, but like I said, it doesn't happen until you're in senior school, so you're like 11 years old. It's too late.
It is. Yeah.
But we have. So I went to one school because I moved around a lot when I was a kid, and one senior school I was at, they taught us German. And then my other senior school, we were taught French. And then in the last 2 years, we did a test in the end of the 3rd year. But the last 2 years, if we passed that test, we would learn Spanish and French. Now, because I had such a horrible Spanish teacher in America, and she just made me hate Spanish because of her. I love it now, but when I was a teenager, I didn't. But at this age, you're like 14, coming on to 15, and you're going to be learning another language. Again, it's great, but it's too late. It needs to be done early.
Yeah, I started learning English at second year actually, and my niece and nephew they are like 7 and 8, and they speaking English like they aren't fluent, but like they speak a little English here and there. I think they think it sounds cool, and then they just reply in English instead of Norwegian and such. Pretty interesting. But yeah,
no, I agree with you.
Yeah, yeah. By the way, if you want some advice on how advice on like learning languages later on, you can just contact me, and I can like give you really good advices for how to learn languages efficiently.
I will do.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, yeah. So that was like a huge thing, because I feel as if the thing about the philosophical title onto the Norwegian Vegan Society, it went past everyone's head, but I feel like it was something that everybody should know about. Like you didn't know this before I told you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So so.
I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know it wasn't in any. It's the same language everywhere. They should work on that, definitely.
No. So, do you think that there should be something helping people to get like all the information out there? Some like because I am clueless to how to solve this issue. If you see what I mean.
If I would contact Animal Rebellion, they might know how to do it, or contact the Vegan Society direct. It was a plant-based news video, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
The one you're talking about?
Yeah, it was the 2020.
I do have a friend that works for plant-based news.
Okay. Yeah.
So I could put you in touch with them if you want.
That would be great. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it's a very complicated thing. I just wanted to hear your thought about it, because when I look at plant-based news, so in the past it has mostly been like the UK and the United States. Maybe like Australia and such, but it seems as if it has to do with language.
Yeah, and that's the point of my channel, is I'm talking to people from around the world. So I've had some Indian activists on my channel because I've got a massive love for India. I've had a lovely girl from Austria I interviewed on my channel. I interviewed a girl this week from Lithuania. I've got plans this week. I'm going to be talking to a guy. Oh, I've forgotten where he's from. I think he's from Nairobi.
Nairobi, okay.
So, and I've been reaching out to a few activists in Japan, but they haven't got back to me yet. Whether that's a language barrier, it could be.
Yeah, I could help you there, by the way.
Oh, brilliant! I want to speak to people in Japan, definitely, and China and stuff. But that's what my channel's all about. It's about bringing activists from all over the world. Because when I did research into why people aren't active, I say research, I put a few posts out on social media and asked them. One of the top reasons was I don't know how to get involved. Yeah. The idea is I interview these other activists, and they can go, oh, well, I can go and get in touch with them, and they'll put me in touch with the right person. In fact, one of my early videos, I just shared a vigil that I was at, and a girl from Ireland reached out to me and said, I really want to get active. I don't know how to do it. I happen to have a friend that lived in the same area as her, so I interviewed him and put them in touch with each other. So, that's the best, thing I can think I can do is, and it's not about these big names. Everyone I'm interviewing is like unknowns almost. They, no one knows who they are, and they're just the people on the ground, the people that are actually doing the work.
Yeah,
the real heroes, like not that Ed or Joey aren't heroes, or but Tash Peterson is a real hero.
Yeah.
And she's still quite small. I mean, people know who she is, but she's still quite small. But I want to find people like yourself in Norway and all these other countries around the world and sing up these activists.
That is a great thing, because I think that we are like in the same type of realm. Oh wow, it starts snowing like crazy again.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I know. So Yeah, so you were thinking like in the same way as me, like we should have contacts all over the world, which is basically why I brought up the thing about like the Langophones isolate issue,
Mhm.
because I've heard of so many people here in Norway that tells me that we should have more content available in the region.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I got mixed feelings about it. I know it's effective. I made one video about veganism from the perspective of moral philosophy. It went viral. I have never had a viral video on my YouTube, but I uploaded
I
this
haven't
to.
had one. Yeah,
No,
not yet. I've been doing
no.
it a year, nothing.
But there's one video that I uploaded to my Facebook. It got shared somewhere, and I had like 20,000 views in 4 days.
Wow,
It
that's
was wow,
amazing.
yeah, and then it kind of stops, so it like stays in around like 20,000. But every time that I share it, so well, every time I shared it once, and then it kind of like got a little bit higher up, but it didn't like reach above like the 20,000 mark, basically.
Yeah. But I agree that we need more content. I did. Have you heard of Vegan Gays?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So Vegan Gays and me did a video about wanting more vegan YouTubers,
yeah,
and just even if you just put one video up saying this is why I went vegan. So everyone in Norway, anyone that's watching this, do a video, put it up there, definitely.
yeah. Norwegians are horrible at making videos. By the way, that's it's it's so strange. There's so many television shows that I want to rewatch and
Yeah.
such, and I can't find it anywhere. It's like not out there. It's like people would say that Norway is a small country, thus we have a small language, but Norwegians isn't really a small language. It's not like a huge language, but I mean, we got the indigenous Sami people with different languages amongst themselves, and the smaller languages there got like 300 speakers. So
No, like Norway, the Norwegians have like were the biggest conquerors of the world. They conquered the most land. So,
yeah,
you know, like yes, it might be a small language, but like our language is, the English language is a descendant of the Norwegian language and the
yeah,
Germanic language. So,
yeah,
it's
with a lot of
not
French
original.
influence. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I've looked into that a lot. So if you like, it's very besides the point. But if you look at similarities between, we start with Norwegian, then we go down to Frisian. Do you know about that language?
yes.
Yeah, for those who doesn't know, it's a tiny language in the Netherlands. And then from Frisian, then you can just diverge to English and to Dutch, and you see that is like a bridge between the three languages. It's like in strictly in between the language and like similarities. It's just so amazing.
Yeah. It's like I said earlier, I'm really gutted that my dad didn't teach me Welsh because I love
Yeah.
the Welsh language, and I know like good morning, good night, and sweetheart, and a couple of other things like the odd word, but not much. But my grandfather and my father were fluent, and Welsh is just such a beautiful old language.
It
And
is.
actually in Wales, it's different in school in Wales. So in Wales, you're taught Welsh from day dot, so you have to
Yeah.
learn Welsh at the first day of school. So when you're 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah.
So
An activist here
get
in
it right.
Norway. His name is Matt. He said that he did his entire education in Welsh. It was amazing. So I
Yeah.
asked him a few questions because I really want to take a road trip in the UK with my girlfriend in the future, and we just try to visit crazy like weird places. So for example, we wanted to visit Sandy Bulls just for the name, for example, but more so. The first place that we figured out was actually in Wales, and it's just because of the name. And it's yeah.
Well done. Well done. Yeah.
it,
I've
it,
never
it,
even
it,
been there, but yeah,
it
well
took me
done.
it took me weeks to learn it.
That's impressive. I'm
Thank you.
impressed. I mean, anyone that's watching will hear my accent is not Welsh; it's English. But
Yeah.
I grew up with Welsh parents and Welsh grandparents, and that I'm impressed. That's blown me away. But there's some beautiful places to visit in the UK.
Yeah.
Scotland is just breathtaking, and Wales is stunning. Like the Brecon Beacons are absolutely beautiful. There's so many little hidden gems. There's Cardigan Bay where you can watch the whales and the dolphins come in, and then there's Spey Bay up in northern in Scotland, and again you can watch the whales and the dolphins coming in there as well.
It sounds nice.
We're really lucky. Yeah, we're really lucky. Everyone's so eager to go to Australia and go to New Zealand and see the States and stuff like that. And I get that. Like, I've never been to Australia. India's the one place that I wanted to go, but Norway as well. Like watching the Vikings on TV, and I'm just like, oh my god, I have to go there. It's so beautiful, and I literally to be exactly where they are right now.
I've done anti-whaling campaigns up at the Lofoten Islands.
Right.
Yeah, and it's like, wow, it's this amazingly beautiful place, and this horrible thing is happening in the midst of this. It's such a bizarre feeling, honestly. Yeah.
It's like the Lake District. Apparently, the Lake District is breathtaking in the UK, and I've never been there. Yeah. I lived in Devon for a while, and I spent a lot of time in Devon and Cornwall and along the coast and surfing in my 20s and stuff. And it's absolutely stunning. We need to stop and look around us a little bit.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, that's really true what you bring up. The people are oblivious to what's like right before their eyes, really. Like there's a lot of beautiful things, other places. Don't get me wrong. It's just I think many people who aren't from like North or Western Europe actually appreciate how beautiful it is in this part of the world. I really think that it just goes past people's heads.
Yeah, I really want to visit Croatia as well. I've heard amazing things about Croatia.
Yeah.
So there are parts of Europe that I haven't seen. I mean, Spain is stunning. Like in the UK, when you say Spain to someone from the UK, they think about, you know, Ibiza and all the places that the British go where there's fish and chip shops, and the British have taken over and made it so disgustingly English. It makes me want to throw up. But I spent like 3 months traveling around different places in Spain, so that places people don't really go to very often. And they were little tiny towns, and it was stunning, and the scenery was breathtaking. And I didn't see one fish and chip shop. There were a lot of Irish bars. I just think that's like a worldwide thing, I think.
Yeah. I remember when I first went to Japan, people automatically asked me when I came back, how was Tokyo? And I was like, I haven't been to Tokyo. Like I had a host family in Wakayama, which is south for Osaka. It's like,
No, yeah, that's the thing. Like when we go away, we want to, you know, we don't go out partying. We go and see the places where the locals go. That's what we like to do. And
yeah,
I went to a place called Pune in India, which is where my grandmother's from, and it's this small little town, and it was beautiful, and I loved it. But it was just somewhere really small and quiet. And yeah, we went to what's it called, Bombay, but we didn't stay there for very long. I didn't actually like Bombay; it was too busy.
Sounds nice. So, to just go back to like activism and such.
Yeah, sorry.
No, there's no problem. That was. It's just there's a couple of more topics I actually want to go over.
Cool.
One of them is a very controversial one, and I don't know where you stand on it. So, if I say the word intersectionality,
yes.
Do you have what comes to mind?
I am intersectional when it comes to humans, but I don't think it has a place in animal rights.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm very in agreement with the original meaning of intersectionality. That of course, if you're a black homosexual woman, of course you can experience sexism, racism, and homophobia. I got you. But the way that many now, because there's a lot of disagreement within the intersectional movements now, but they are sort of like changed the definition a bit to mean that all types of oppression overlaps with each other. I personally see huge issues with this, and because I see huge issues with this, I've become very, very little popular with the people who call themselves intersectionalists. Like, for example, this is going to be hugely controversial, and I try to explain this in like a very calm manner. if I can.
Go on. Go on.
Because
You won't offend me.
no, but I'm sure that many people watching might be offended.
Well,
So
one of my best friends is George Martin, and he's well known for being anti-intersectional. So, and he pisses everyone off.
Yeah, but it's more than just that. But I see a huge problem when it comes to people actually disagreeing with somebody who's an intersectionalist, because it's almost like they talk about morals being objectively true, which I don't believe. I think they're subjective. So, for example, we have different people who are vegan, and sure, there are people who are pro-choice and people who are pro-life in the vegan community. But the intersectionalists would automatically go to saying that, oh, but if they are pro-life, then they aren't really vegan because they don't stand up for like human animal life or rights or whatever. But that one can easily be turned the other way around if somebody believes in like pro-life instead. And last time I really experienced this was because the topic of pedophilia came up. I tried to make this argument that I think it's ridiculous that we should force wearing clothes. I don't think there should be any law forcing people to wear clothes. If people want to be naked, I don't think there should be a law stopping people from being naked if they want to. And then people said I have huge problems with this because adults might take pictures of the children or that type of thing. And first of all, children are, at least in the Western world, are allowed to walk around naked. So that's nothing new, but they are clearly against that, seemingly.
Well, you go to any beach, and most kids nowadays, even like, well, especially when I was younger, like we'd be running around the beach like stark bonnet naked.
Yeah.
My problem with intersectionals is that they will not go to an animal rights event.
Yeah. I'll get to there. If you could just wait a little with that. Yeah. Just keep it in mind in case I forget. It happens. Now, so my argument was basically, well, if a pedophile wants to look at children, there are plentiful of pictures on the web of naked children that people post all over all the time, and I don't necessarily see a problem with that. And then they got like so frustrated, and it's like, oh, would you want somebody to jerk off to your kid and such? And that's like, and I was like thinking of this from like a purely like philosophical background, and not from like an emotional background. They were clearly totally on the emotional background, and I was thinking, what is the logical argument that they fantasizing about children and keep that to themselves and don't talk about it? What kind of harm are they actually contributing, as far as they're not doing anything actual towards children? And I was almost kicked out of the Facebook page for just asking that question.
Well, I mean, it is a sensitive topic. I personally would not be happy if someone was doing that over a photo of a child that I would potentially have. So I can see why that pissed people off.
Yeah, well,
I can see why you were kicked out. I think maybe the way you've worded it
maybe
came across. Yeah,
I tried to word it differently, but I'm not sure if I could word it any other way. Because sure, I tried to have them come with some logical arguments for why that would be intrinsically wrong, in the way, like, obviously. I would understand that people can fantasize about whatever they want. I just don't want to hear about it. Because I'm sure that there are homosexuals who fantasize about me, but it's like, should I have the right to stop them from fantasizing for what they on anything? And even to go further on this, majority of pedophiles aren't child rapists. Majority of people who are pedophiles know that what they're feeling is wrong. They don't actually do anything, but they can't stop feeling what they're feeling, and they can't just stop fantasizing about what they are attracted to.
Oh yeah, it's been proven that it's scientifically something wrong in their brain.
Yeah,
Completely
sure.
agree with that. It is a mental issue that they need help with, and we need to be able to help them, and get them to stop it. Agreed. But you know, the clothes thing, like this is the other thing where with anti-masks wearers at the moment saying, "Oh, the government's making me wear masks. I'm not going to wear a mask." Blah, blah. Right. Well, the government's making you wear clothes, but you wear fucking clothes when you go outside. Sorry, I shouldn't swear. You wear clothes. You wear clothes when you go out. I personally don't think anyone wants to see me with no clothes on, because that's not a pretty picture anymore. 20 years ago, not so much. It was all right then, but not now.
I think that's just mental, though.
But I think I see where you're coming from with that, and I see where they're coming from with that, and I think it's difficult when you don't have kids to have that objective opinion about it. So if you've got children, then you're probably going to have a more of an emotional reaction, and maybe that's what it is. They had kids, and that's why they were having that reaction to it.
Yeah,
or maybe they'd had something happen in their lives. You don't know, do you, what's going on behind?
Yeah, sure. However, this was like a really grand example of like
A very
where you
extreme
can,
example, yeah.
where you can find like huge disagreements. But disagreements will occur, and these intersectionalists, they would not want to associate with those people. So I feel like this can totally destroy the entire vegan movement if people can't have different opinions.
I think the intersectional movement is going to destroy the vegan movement. I really, really do. And like I said earlier, I am intersectional when it comes to human beings, but not when it crosses over to animals. I think my thing is like, I'm a bisexual woman as well. So
Yeah.
as a bisexual woman, I am able to speak up for my rights and go, I'm not happy with this, and go on a pride march and be proud. But as an animal, they're not able to go and walk on the streets and go, what do we want? Animal liberation. When do we want it now? We've got to do that for them.
Yeah.
And so my thing that I have a problem with intersectionals is they're not going to go out on the streets, and they're not going to, be with someone who, for example, we had people that didn't come to our animal rights march in Bristol because George Martin was there and because he was anti-intersectional.
Yeah.
And they thought, because George is anti-intersectional, they thought they labelled him as an anti-feminist and a racist straight away, and he's neither of those things, right? Neither of those things. He wouldn't have a co-organizer who was a woman if he was anti-feminist.
Yeah.
But they'll go to a gay rights march or a feminist march or a Black Lives Matter march and march with people that are oppressing animals.
Yeah.
But they won't go to an animal rights march and walk with people that might be oppressing humans.
Yeah.
When nobody watching this march, none of the non-vegans that are seeing you at an event, an animal rights event, are going to know which of those individuals happens to be a right-wing Tory or a left-wing or a racist or a sexist. They're not going to know by looking at them.
No.
And you're at that event and you're not talking about those things. You're talking about the animals.
Yeah.
You're not talking about, well, this is what happened to the dairy calf. By the way, I think that, gay people shouldn't be able to get married and have children. They're not going to do that. Yeah. They're going to be talking about the animals. Do you know what I mean? There's no way. Like, a member of the public's going to walk past going, oh, I'm not going to go vegan because there's obviously a racist in that crowd somewhere. Like, that's just not going to happen. And I was talking to the amazing and beautiful Ronnie Lee in January. It was fantastic. I really enjoyed talking to him. And he said, the problem with oppression is it all stems from when you're a child and you're told to oppress the lamb.
Yeah.
You're told to eat the lamb and pet the dog. So that speciesism is where oppression is the root of oppression, where it all starts from. And yes, it's because we've been taught by our parents and their parents, and they might be racist or homophobic. So it comes from that as well. But the root cause of it is because we abuse animals first.
Yeah.
And I agree with Ronnie on that 100%.
Yeah, that sounds like a really good one. And I've there are only 2 vegans that I've blocked in my entire time. So I rarely block people, and it has to be something serious. But there was this one very intersectional vegan out that she didn't used to be as horrible as she turned out to be later. She complains about any type of activism that is going on. I wanted to tell her about something. This was way, way back in time, where I wanted to tell her about something that I did. And it's like, if it's something illegal, then I will report you to the police. Okay, it's not something illegal, so I can tell you then, I guess. So that was like the first time. But after some time, she started to attack me personally on many different things or different views that I have, because there's a lot of things that I disagree with that and all of a sudden she thinks I'm a horrible person for that. Reason why it's not matter why I ended up blocking her, but where was I going? Yeah, what really pissed me off was when the Norwegian Vegan Society decided to have an advent calendar where, like, in 24 days, then they are showing a picture of a different type of vegans throughout Christmas, and I saw some very good people who does a lot like own their own sanctuaries and sort of are really good activists. And then all of a sudden, she came in there with a picture and everything. And it's like, what is she doing? And I'm reading up this, her initiative of being active in the comment sections. Everybody does that. I mean. And like, how people actually talk to her. She's mean to people, and such. And it was like, yeah, this intersectional woman who criticizes other activists. She's the one that we want to have in this advent calendar. It's
right. Mental.
Yeah.
Mental. I mean, yeah, the some people just don't. They're going to be the death of the vegan movement. I got loads of abuse for organising an animal rights march. Like, you've only been vegan a year. How dare you do this? I was like, what does it matter?
Yeah.
How long? It doesn't matter. It's all that matters is that you're doing something. As long as you're not harming the animals in your activism, I will support you 110%. As soon as you start putting animals at risk in your activism, then that's where I will draw the line.
Yeah. One thing that I'm like very undecided about is something that Intersectionalist has brought up, and there's a lot of I really don't like the terminology of this different things, because I think it sounds horrible, but like when people of color has come forward and said that they don't doubt taking part in activism because they are afraid of being targeted of racism, and some of them think that this is something that needs to be brought forward. But I'm not so sure if the animal rights organizations, if it's their job, honestly. I don't really know, like, what do we do with this?
There are so many people of color that are active in the animal rights movement. If people are really concerned, then let's promote them more. And there are some of the biggest YouTubers, vegan activist YouTubers, are actually people of color, and they're bigger than Earthlyn Ed and Joey Carbstrong. So they're out there. You just need to promote them more. That's the thing, and sing them up. And I have to say, we've only had a few people of color at our events in Bristol. There's not been a huge amount. I hope that they're not threatened by me. I'm 5 foot tall. I'm not racist. I'm not sexist. I'm not homophobic. So I don't think I'm a threat. And I don't think there's anyone at my events that turns up that there's a threat. And all the people that are saying this tend to be, it's white people that are saying that people of color feel threatened. I've not had one person of color tell me that they feel threatened. I've never seen that.
I've talked to 2. That's it. People of color. I really don't like the framing. But I try to get logical arguments from them, and what they tell me is that, but you should listen to what black people have to say. And I was like, I ask black people, and there are black people who agree with me, so who should I listen to now? Yeah. Why should I listen to you more than this other type? Like, one person that I know, a huge YouTuber that is really like against this type of thought is Vegan Gains.
Yeah.
He's black. I mean, it's
Yeah. Well, Michelle Lowe had an open mic ages ago about intersectionality, and there was a white woman on there. She turned up, and it was an open mic. There was a few people on the live stream, and they were talking about it. And then this white woman came on and said, as white people, you don't have a right to talk about people of color because you've not been in that situation, right? And then she wouldn't let anyone talk for ages. And then Vegan Gains came on the channel. This is quite a small channel, but Vegan Gains came on the live. And so you've got a black man speaking about what it's like to be a person of color in the vegan movement, and he's anti-intersectional. And she wouldn't let him talk. And I was like, I didn't go on to the live, but I was like going, wait a minute, this is a white woman telling white people they don't have a right to talk about, and then she's interrupting a black guy when he's trying to talk about it. Like, what the actual are you doing? Like, shut up. Shut up.
Yeah, I know. It's just so bizarre.
It's that white savior thing. Like, I have to speak up for, that's what it is. They're
Yeah,
being white saviors themselves. And they're having a go at other white saviors, saying, calling people white saviors when they're being the ones that are white saviors.
Yeah, I know.
That's my problem. Yeah.
It's just so bizarre. I'm not sure if I've seen exactly that one, but I know that that Vegan Gains went on this vegetarian Toronto Vegetarian Association or something's gathering.
Yeah, I've seen that video.
Yeah, and he just went over to the mic and just talked to this one intersectionalist that sat there and on the panel. And like, okay, for how long have you been a vegetarian, and for how long have you been sitting there at the head of the organization? And and they just wanted him off the mic.
Yeah, this is it's she's called Michelle Lowe.
Michelle Lowe, okay, yeah.
Yeah, she's a vegan YouTuber. She's amazing. She's a psychologist. She's fantastic, incredibly intelligent woman. And yeah, so check that out. If I find the link, I'll send it to you. I can't remember where it is.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, just really amazing. And I don't know what to do with the intersectionalists. Vegan Gains has now gone over to say that they will destroy each other. Like intersectionalists hate each other now.
I think that the best thing to do is to ignore them.
Okay.
I really think that is the only way to deal with intersectionalists, is not rise to them, ignore them, don't talk about them, just talk about the animals. Because what they're doing by us talking to them, we're taking the focus off of the animals, which is what they do anyway. They take the focus off the animals, they put all the focus on human oppression and take the focus away from the animals. And by talking about them, we're just fueling their whole fucking movement, and we're taking the focus off of our main concern, and our main priority is those trillions of beautiful beings that are being murdered every year.
Yeah.
That's where we need to focus. So I think that's the only way to deal with intersectionality, is just not talk about it.
Yeah, try. Yeah, I've thought about it. Though I've managed to actually talk up against them, but it's like social suicide.
Yes, it is, exactly. It's social suicide. All you'll do is you'll get labelled as, I got labelled as an anti-feminist.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, right, well, number one, and this was by a woman who's married, and she took her husband's name and she had a big white wedding. I went, number one, I got married and I kept my own name. I didn't change it because that's who I am, and I don't want to kind of bow down to that whole thing about being married and your husband owning you by you taking their name, and it's passing ownership from the father to the husband. And I also didn't even want to get married. I got married so that, we're not now, but we wanted to adopt from India, and you have to be married for like 2 years, and that's the only reason I did it. So, and I work full time, I pay my own way, and I do some of the manly jobs in the house, and he does some of the womanly jobs in the house. Like, he does all the cooking, which you'd think was a woman's role. I was like, you got married in a big white wedding. We had a tiny wedding. There was like 10 of us there. I got the train to the wedding. So it was like not this big whole, fantasy type thing that I didn't want anyway. I was like, how can you say I'm anti-feminist? Like, I'm running. I'm the leader of the Animal Rights March. I run an activism group in the city centre. If I was anti-feminist, I would be like bowing down to men. Like, bow down. You be the leader. I'll do whatever you tell me to do. I'm like, if you like speak to George Martin about me, he'll tell you that I'll put him in his place and tell him off. If I was anti-feminist, I'd be like, yes, George Martin, you are God. I bow down to you.
Yeah,
No.
interesting thing. I've been labeled a racist quite a lot. Also sexist, but a racist more. And it's just because I can understand that the N word that originated in the United States has a very negative connotation to it.
Oh, yeah.
It's basically a word that was to describe a black slave, basically. However, there has been a very huge disagreement. Many people would disagree that there is a disagreement, but especially me, who lives like on the countryside, I see a huge disagreement in population, and especially like older population, about a separate. Well, Norway also has an N word. It's not the same word. It's very similar, but it's also because both of them came from the Spanish word negro or negra, basically. And we've used this word, older people has used this word just to describe a black person who comes from Africa, basically. And now they're starting to treat this word as if it is the same word as the American word. And I say, can you find me a logical reason why we should treat those words equally? And they say, oh, but there are black people who don't like the word. And okay, why don't they like the word? And then they like, oh, but if they don't like people using that word, we shouldn't be using the word. And I thought about thinking through this logically. So if Christians get triggered by swear words, should we ban swear words? And it was just really bizarre. It's very difficult to explain this to you because
language is such a difficult thing. And like the word bitch, like if a man calls a woman a bitch, it pisses me off if a bloke calls me a bitch. But if a woman says to me, oh, you're my bitch, then it's different. Like there's a great series on Netflix about swear words and about how we take ownership, and a bitch is a very negative word, but women have taken ownership of that and made it something powerful. And the same as black people have taken the M word and made it very powerful for them. I would never use that word. It's not my word. It's not my right to use it. And I wouldn't.
I got you. I actually went to Dimona. Have you heard about Dimona?
No.
Have you heard about the African Hebrew Israelites?
Yes.
Yeah, they live in Dimona. Yeah, so I went there and interviewed and also filmed like their community and how they live and everything. Very, very nice. But I talked to this man afterwards about racism, and he think that the N-word should be banned from use by anyone. So like either that or you must accept that everybody is using it. That was his view on it. Him as a black man.
Yeah, I kind of disagree with him on that because, you know, that the connotations of why we've used that word as white people and checking our white privilege, and I think Black Lives Matter and everything that's gone on, especially with this latest guy that's been killed in America in the last few days as well. You know, as a white person using that word, it does have a negative connotation and it is used in a negative way. And like I said, with regards to bitch, like if my husband calls me a bitch, I know he's using it derogatory.
Yeah.
Because I've done something that's pissed him off, which is probably most of the time. But you know, I disagree. But then, you know, language is. People find the word vegan. Now vegans are telling us we shouldn't be using the word vegan anymore.
Yeah.
Be saying that we're anti-speciesist and not using the word vegan because it puts people off.
Yeah.
And it doesn't explain who we are. But I don't know. Again, it's not a subject that I'm confident to talk on. Or,
No, I got you.
You know, but yeah, it's.
Yeah, but
Okay.
I think you misunderstood what his argument was, because he thought that nobody should use it.
Oh, right. Yeah. Nobody at all. Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
And I think he had like a more logical argument than many other people, because he think it's bad of these rap artists to use this word in their songs, because he find it like really hypocritical of them when they ask white people not to sing along, for example. But he think nobody should use it at all,
Mm.
which is interesting, because like I can understand, like if like Celtic people were going around and going like, "Hello, fellow slave," it's like it's I can understand that that's kind of put off some people.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, what back to the topic that I was initially trying to say. So I couldn't find any good reason for stop using the Norwegian N word, and I'm personally not using it. I just want a logical argument for why that word shouldn't be used, and
Mm.
if put like logically in other words that other people want to ban, what really is the difference here? And they say, well, you should listen to black people, but I've talked to black people in Norway who disagree, so who should I listen to now? So it's the same thing about like, yeah, it's just really weird, and thus I've been labeled a racist because I question if that word is really bad or not. It's just
Just again, it's intersectionals, isn't it? It's just they're not happy with people supporting. They want to deal with all the other oppressions first before we deal with animal oppression, and I just think that's the wrong way around.
yeah. This was a very good transition to like the last thing I actually want to take to talk about actually.
Yeah.
I'm sure that you might have other things you want to talk about as well, but what about like welfare for activists? Have you been like diving into that idea?
Being what? Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Okay, welfare for activists.
Oh yeah, welfare for activists is hugely important.
Yeah.
Hugely important. I meditate in the evenings. I have like a morning routine where I give out my fears for 5 minutes. So I like record my fears and get them out. I also have a book where I write things I'm grateful for, things that I've
Yeah.
achieved every day. Like I said, I meditate. I make sure I get enough sleep. I make sure I eat correctly. I'm really on the eating thing at the moment because I've put a lot of weight in lockdown because I'm not walking to work anymore.
Oh
I
yeah.
used to walk to work, but yeah, outside space, exercise. It's difficult because like I work full time. I've got a full time job, office job, working Monday to Friday, long hours, really intense. And then when not in lockdown, I'm doing activism at the weekends. I'm organising the Animal Rights March for this year. You know, I'm doing my YouTube channel. So it's trying to find time for you. So whether that's meditation, whether you're taking your hour lunch break and you're going for a 20-minute walk in a local park or a local field, just being with nature, or go into an animal sanctuary for a day. Yeah, I think activists do need a lot of self-care because it's
Yeah.
easy to get burnt out. I mean, look at Gary. He burnt out and
Yeah.
he was just full on, didn't stop. And we haven't seen him for years or heard from him for years now.
The only
So,
thing is that he uploaded a few videos saying a few opinions that he
mm,
has done in the few, but I can't even get to him in because I was trying to ask him to be on this veg talk, but he has disabled his email even. So yeah, what I've experienced nowadays, especially the intersectionalists, they actually has drained me quite a lot. It's not the only thing, but due to many things going on, I got scarpies for like a year till I could no half a, what is it? Wait a minute, half a year till I could get rid of it. I I went total nuts with it, and that is also one thing that I've experienced. Uh, also, uh, also the lockdown came like after I already felt isolated before the pandemic and and such, and I went to like not sleeping enough. So all of a sudden, I was starting writing mean things to farmers, starting writing mean things to other vegans, and I just like, what is happening? I was like losing control, and all of a sudden I started talking nonsense to people. Sometimes when I was writing, I didn't manage to see that I was writing nonsense, but when I was talking, I realized there and then that I'm talking nonsense.
Yeah.
So I asked to be put into a psychiatric facility. Then they put me on some medication, and after two nights of sleep, then I was starting to get back. But I was in there for a week. So I don't know.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, it's just this last year has been so stressful for so many people around the world. There's been so many things that have gone on, and for animal rights activists, I know for me it's been hugely frustrating. I did a live stream a couple of weeks ago talking about it because I got to the point where I was in tears all day, every day, because I couldn't do anything for the animals. I couldn't go to any vigils. I couldn't do any outreach. And you just feel like you're in an echo chamber sometimes as well, just talking to vegans. And I cleared out my Facebook page. So I deleted, because I had over 3,000 people on there. You know what it's like when you're a vegan. You just get vegan friend requests every bloody day.
Yeah.
And it was, at first it was like, yeah, it's great. But now I've just deleted them all. So the only people I'm friends with are people that I've actually worked with on projects, on activism projects, that have mentored me in the past with regards to activism, and friends and family. So I've gone from over 3,000 people on Facebook to 600, because I thought that wasn't helping my mental health and scrolling through Facebook. Yeah. In fact, the only reason I've got my Facebook account now is for talking to friends and family, doing I've started up with We the Free, so I'm doing the We the Free events, and the Animal Rights March, and that's it. If anyone sees my posts on Facebook, they usually come from my Instagram account, which I just focus on activism.
Yeah.
Because, social media is such a drain, and I found myself, like you, getting into arguments and debates with, non-vegans and farmers on Facebook, and it was, like I said earlier, it was causing me anxiety. I was angry. I was frustrated. I wasn't sleeping because I'd go to bed like wound up from having like an hour, 2-hour back and forth argument on Facebook on my phone. So I'd go to bed and it was just going over and over in my head. Yeah. And I just don't do that anymore. And that's helped. And like I said to you, like the intersectionals, don't worry about them. Okay. You're not going to, the thing is, they're not going to change your mind and get you to go to their side and be intersectional. And you're not going to change their mind. All you can do as an activist, and all any activist can do, is just be there for the animals. But call on your fellow vegan activists for support, because I couldn't be where I am now if I couldn't call up my friend Josephine and go, Joe, I've had a really bad day. I just need to talk. So I had a really bad outreach with somebody. I just need to talk and get it off my chest. Yeah. That's really helped.
Yeah. You kind of have you're probably in a better situation than me living in Bristol. I live in a tiny village, so so there aren't many vegans around here. I know that there are vegans here, but there's any vegans here that I'm like really close to, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
So that's sort of like an issue. So right now I've actually been told by doctors and such to don't do activism for a while. It has basically gotten to that point, but I do videos from time to time and such.
Yeah, do videos and find something else that's outside of animal rights that you like doing. Like, I love gardening, okay, and it's really sad and it's probably a bit old lady, but I love cross stitch. I've just rediscovered cross stitch, which I used to do when I was a kid. So I'm doing that in my spare time. It's like it's something outside of it. So you need that off switch. You need it. Otherwise, you're not going to get anywhere, and you'll be no good to the animals if you're not well.
Yeah. Interesting with gardening is that both my grandmothers, one of them from like a farm, and that isn't like countryside, that's like forest area. And my other grandmother, growing up in Oslo, they're both like into gardening. It's just so interesting that it doesn't matter where you live, gardening is everywhere.
I love it. I love getting my hands dirty. Like I've had friends buy me gardening gloves, and my husband's bought me gardening gloves. I'm like, no, I just get my hands in the compost and dirt, and I just love it. Love getting dirty and being at one with nature. Got an outdoor space, like just going, like I said, going for a walk or go for a run. Exercise is so important for mental well-being.
Yeah,
Exercise.
I do a lot of walking and such. What I'm doing
Good.
nowadays is that not every day, but most of the days, I'm not sure if you know video games very well. I haven't been like totally into video games in years because I easily get addicted. But due to COVID-19, I bought myself a Nintendo Switch, for example.
I used to play Elder Scrolls, but I
Okay.
just don't have the time anymore
Oh,
for
I
video
see.
games. I wish I did, but I don't have the time.
Okay, got you.
I spent quite a few hours in front of Elder Scrolls. I think when it first came out, I called in sick work for like 3 days.
Yeah. So the type of activism I'm doing now, it's very strange, and it's and I don't reach too many people, but people are watching it afterwards. I'm live streaming the Zelda Breath of the Wild. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. Okay. It is so diverse, and I'm doing this vegan challenge so that I play through the game within the established principles of veganism. So that is something that I spend a lot of time with. It's something different. There is a lot to fix. I need to make sure that the OBS works with the gaming app, and it also works with the television screen that I also got in front of me. Just make sure that everything works. And if I plug it in the wrong order, then maybe the sound isn't going through in the OBS, and then the screen doesn't work, and then the screen works, and then the gaming program doesn't pick up, and then I have to do it all over again. So
Yeah, that's a great. I've seen that a lot at the moment. People that are gaming online and reaching out and talking about veganism, and definitely do that. I mean, I've got a friend who has a channel called I'm Easy Vegan, and he
yeah,
does gaming streams, but he raises money for sanctuaries at the same time. So he just
yeah,
chats with people in the chat about veganism, and he's also raising money for local sanctuaries. So there's so many different forms, but the most important thing for you is just to, for everybody out there, if you're doing activism, take care of yourself. Like,
yeah. Right now, I'm just doing it to take care of myself, and I thought it was like a really good idea because I've seen a couple of people doing these vegan challenges. One of them was a tiny YouTuber who didn't continue, and the other ones, honestly, they did play through plant based, not really vegan. So, no horse riding, no buying, no selling animal products, which is like a huge thing in like habits based on. Like a couple of objectives there is like do with riding and such, but then no, you have to jump off and you have to do it by foot. It's like
yeah, I can't imagine playing Elder Scrolls like that. Like, I haven't played Elder Scrolls since I've been vegan, but like to play Elder Scrolls and not actually have to not kill an animal to skin them to make money, it's like, oh my god, that's got to be a challenge and a half
yeah.
to do that in a game.
Breath of the Wild is easier than one would think.
Okay.
There are some things that gets a little bit difficult, but there are like specific things.
Yeah.
Like I've allowed using leather clothing if it's picked up, but not if you can't buy it. If you see what I mean.
That's
So
clever. That's
yeah,
clever.
so there are some things, and I have some objectives that I have to get through in the game because it's a very interesting thing. But I've thought of like doing other games, but some games are absolutely impossible to do vegan. Somebody suggested that I do World of Warcraft, getting from level 1 to 60 within the established principle of veganism. There's just so many missions where you have to hunt. It's just how the heck are you supposed to do it? There's like mandatory missions in the storyline. It's I know it's possible, but how the heck?
Yeah. I
And
try
there's
to think of some games that you could do it in. Actually, that's a really interesting thing. I'm gonna dig
but
out some old games and see if I can do them.
people ask me, like, could you do a vegan challenge Pokemon? No, that's not possible. Making animals fight each other is not vegan.
No, it's not the hedgehog vegan because you're making a hedgehog run. And
Oh
get
yeah.
things. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. But this game, I also try to not die. But yeah, it's yeah. I'm not reaching too many people. I got like mostly there's one person watching. Sometimes nobody's watching, but sometimes I have like 5 people watching. It's not too big, but
But that's 5 more people that might not have made that connection that you might be reaching out to. So never ever this, like,
yeah.
Don't, and this is another thing, like, I want to say to anyone that's, when we said earlier that we want more vegan content and more vegan YouTubers out there, even if there's 10 people that watch your video, that's 10 more people that might have learned something they didn't know anything about.
Yeah, so I get everything between 40 and 100 on the most common on my videos.
That's great.
Yeah. One thing that I find to be very strange, and I won't say the name because there's clearly been like a rule against it on YouTube, but you know about Der Führer.
About what, sorry?
Der Führer, the German warlord that we shouldn't say the name to because then this video will be monetized.
Okay, right, okay.
I don't know why they put like monetization on this one name, because I made a video about him not being vegetarian, and that video got taken down, and the reasoning was I used a name that wasn't appropriate. This is where YouTube has gotten nowadays.
It's mental, isn't it? It's mental. I've heard it for some people being demonetized, and we've said it a few times in here, but like, well, the pandemic, the C word, people have been demonetized for that, but I'm not even monetized yet, so I'm not worried about anything like that at the moment.
No, they also took down the video. It was sort of justifiable, but again, it was like a lot more like a freedom of speech type of thing, where I did like a Night Cure song of like an anime outro that worked very well on this bicycle video we made. We rode bicycle for like 190 kilometers with like 3 stops in the middle, and it was this Japanese song called Jitensha, meaning bicycle, and it worked so well with this entire thing. And I tried to file like the report and said I don't think that this I know that it breaks sort of with like the use of what is it called, lyrics, but again, right. I'm not earning any money of it. That is fine, and Universal Japan just filed a report against me. No, Sony Japan filed a report on me for doing that. So it takes very little nowadays.
Very little. More vegans on TikTok is what we need.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Is there any more you want to talk about?
No, I think we've covered a lot. I've really enjoyed talking to you. Actually, it's been really interesting.
I think it too. This is very nice. So yeah. So and if you want to come on later, if you have another topic you want to go over, just tell me. And if you have some other people that might be interested in having a conversation with me on this, just tell me. Yeah, will do. Definitely. I'll let you know about plant-based news contact as well. Yeah. Sounds nice. Okay, thank you. Thanks for talking to me. You're very welcome. Thanks for inviting me on.